Hi there. I'd just like to go over some notes here on the treble clef and bass clef for you. We've talked about middle C. It's written on the first ledger line below the treble clef staff. Okay. D, we're heading up from middle C now. D is written on the first space below the treble clef staff. E is written on the first line of the treble clef staff. F is written on the first space of the treble clef staff. G is written on the second line of the treble clef staff. A is written on the second space of the treble clef staff. B is written on the third line of the treble clef staff. C is written on the third space of the treble clef staff. And this C is one octave above middle C. Okay, it's the next C up from middle C. D is written on the fourth line of the treble clef staff. This D is one octave above this D. Okay. E is written on the fourth space of the treble clef staff. This E is one octave above this E. F is written on the fifth line of the treble clef staff. This F is one octave above this F. If we keep going, G is written on the first space above the treble clef. And this G is one octave above this G. Okay. Going to the bass clef, middle C is written on the first ledger line above the bass clef staff. Heading down from middle C, B is written on the first space above the bass clef staff. A is written on the fifth line of the bass clef staff. G is written on the fourth space of the bass clef staff. F is written on the fourth line of the bass clef staff. E is written on the third space of the bass clef staff. D is written on the third line of the bass clef staff. C is written on the second space of the bass clef staff, and this C is one octave below middle C. Okay, it's the next C down from middle C. B is written on the second line of the bass clef staff. This B is one octave below this B. Okay. A is written on the first space of the bass clef staff. This A is one octave below this A. G is written on the first line of the bass clef staff. Here we go, right here, G. Okay. This G is one octave below this G. And if we keep going, F is written on the first space beneath the bass clef staff. Okay, and this F is one octave below this F. Okay, when we talk about SATB, we're talking about soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. Okay, sopranos are the higher female singers. Okay, they sing higher notes. Altos are the lower range female singers. Okay? Tenors are the higher range male singers, and basses are the lower range male singers. Often an SATB arrangement will look like this. Okay? Sometimes if the parts were written on their own staffs, sometimes the tenor parts would maybe be written in a treble clef that has an 8 beneath it, which would mean that the note would actually be sung one octave below where it's written. But most of the time, or much of the time, you'll see it written like this, with the tenor and bass written in the bass clef, and the soprano and alto written in the treble clef.